Now, where the war in Gaza is entering its 22nd month, and international pressure on Israel is reaching a boiling point. 28 nations, including close U.S. allies, are now calling for an immediate end to the conflict, citing a catastrophic humanitarian crisis and condemning Israeli military operations.
Smoke and gunfire rise once again over Gaza. But this week, it's not just the sound of war that's escalating. It's the chorus of condemnation from world capitals.
I utterly condemn the killing of civilians seeking to meet their basic needs. The Israeli government must answer what possible military justification can there be for strikes that have killed desperate, starving children? What immediate actions are they taking to stop this litany of horrors? And what will they do to hold those responsible to account?
A joint statement from 28 countries, including Britain, France, Canada and Japan, calls for the war to end now. They accuse Israel of weaponizing aid, failing to protect civilians, and violating international humanitarian law. Over 59,000 Palestinians have been killed, more than half of them women and children. That's according to Gaza's health ministry. But Israel says it's targeting Hamas militants who use civilians as shields. But as food dwindles and displacement spreads, international agencies say nearly 90% of Gaza is now unlivable. Israel's allies are growing more frustrated. The U.S. continues to back its security claims, but even President Trump is expressing concern, caught off guard by recent strikes in Syria and the Catholic Church in Gaza.
Well, look, the president enjoys a good working relationship with Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu and stays in frequent communication with him. He was caught off guard by the bombing in Syria and also the bombing of a Catholic church in Gaza, which, as you know, I addressed at my briefing last week. And in both accounts, the president quickly called the prime minister to rectify those situations. And we saw Secretary Rubio intervene when it came to Syria. We saw a de-escalation there. And as for the bombing of the Catholic church in Gaza, the prime minister did put out a statement saying this was an accident and they deeply regretted that action on behalf of the state of Israel, following his conversation with the president.
Meanwhile, the ground war expands. Israeli forces enter Deir al-Balah, once the last major city untouched by ground invasion. Aid workers say the WHO's warehouse was bombed, and UN compounds were damaged by airstrikes.
The Secretary General is appalled by the accelerating breakdown of humanitarian conditions in Gaza, where the last lifelines keeping people alive are collapsing. He deplores the growing reports of children and adults suffering from malnutrition. The Secretary General strongly condemns the ongoing violence, including the shooting, the killing, and the injuring of people attempting to get food for their families. Civilians must be protected, civilians must be respected, and they must never, ever be targeted. The population in Gaza remains gravely undersupplied with the basic necessities of life.
Israel says it's trying to pressure Hamas to release the remaining hostages. But the families of those captives say the military incursions may be putting them in even more danger. With ceasefire talks stalled and humanitarian crisis deepening, the international community is issuing its most direct warning yet. The war must end before Gaza collapses entirely.